So our topic is Renaissance Engineering, Engineers Engaging the World, and our team name, which we have heretofore kept secret from our fearless moderator, is Leslie and the Da Vincis. Good. So as we sat down from very, very diverse backgrounds to find out what we have in common, we discovered that we share a fundamental interest in geographic and interdisciplinary global competencies. And what does that mean? Geographic in the sense of international competencies, and interdisciplinary in the sense of an integrated interdisciplinary type of curriculum, where humanities and social sciences aren't just some kind of extra that are tagged on to the outside of what people do, but as integral to the engineering identity itself. So we had a few problems we wanted to solve. The first one, most obviously, was how do you start to integrate the humanities and social sciences into a complete global engineering identity? Because as we probably all noticed, many of our students take the scattershot approach to humanities and social sciences or general ed, whatever their roommate's taking or whatever fits the schedule, as opposed to thinking it through and having it complement what they're doing. And then also, how do we create meaningful global experiences? And in the process of that, and prompted by this morning's conversation, how do we truly define meaningful? What is meaningful enough? So we took the three big ideas thing seriously. We had 5, we whittled it down to 3, and I'll give you the first one. And that was a feeling of urgency that we needed to respond pretty quickly to the ABET revisions of criterion C and H. 3C and 3H, which really do gut the global part of the ABET criteria. So we decided that we would propose wording that the new criterion 3 returned to the inclusion of global and multidisciplinary curricula, and we did it. So you will all shortly receive our proposed wording. It's up for discussion, and hopefully you will feel that you wish to support it. You may contact ABET individually through the website that they provided. We may get the NAE to agree with us and maybe advocate on our behalf, but you could also take this back to your campuses and your deans and your professional societies and start getting some kind of momentum around restoring a more holistic and Renaissance sense to what engineering goals look like. So you can help specifically by taking these recommended revisions to ABET if you agree with what we're talking about. And you will receive all of those this evening. We're going to get them to somebody at NAE who can disseminate those to all of you. So that wasn't necessarily big, but it was immediate, and we've done it. So 2. The second big idea was how do we start to create partnerships among faculty across college campuses to try to better integrate the humanities, social sciences, and engineering curricula. And there are all sorts of best practices. You've in fact heard a number of them here, but we really focused on things like co-scheduled paired classes between humanities, social sciences, and engineering disciplines. Examples of these might be a history, literature, and art class on Leonardo da Vinci's world, paired with a computer science intro class where students design and print Leonardo's machines. Dickens and the Industrial Revolution, the history of communication and telecommunications projects courses, geography, cartography, and global development, theater and theatrical mechanics, automata, and mechatronics, Richard's course, the interdisciplinary course that he just mentioned in his group, and Fernanda's model, where classes can be shared across countries, PACE, the time difference. Second, and related to this, is the idea of team teaching. So if you can't spare the 6 to 8 hours of 2 co-scheduled classes, just get 4 classes funded by the university where faculty can team teach, have them talk about how great it is, and have that propagate across your campus. And then also looking at creating more and measuring more informal learning experiences. So this, for example, would be extracurricular global experiences not integrated directly into the curriculum. Pairing a student with an international student for the semester. Creating a global learning and living community. Or other experience that could be demonstrated by a portfolio or other types of measures where students aggregate over time and feel that they're weaving a thread through the tapestry of their education. So we decided that what we would like to do is to develop a menu of pragmatic and evidence-based recommendations to create these kinds of learning opportunities. What we need from you is for you to provide to our working group some examples of best practices on your campuses. We've already heard a number of them, and we'd like to start gathering these to disseminate back out to you and then also to our deans again. The third and perhaps biggest idea involves, really started because we looked at the NAE Grand Challenge Scholars Program and realized that it was a fantastic idea, and also wondered if we should have a faculty scholars program to parallel it. And the idea is that we would have faculty scholars who serve as ambassadors. These are people who show excellence in interdisciplinary education and in global education, and have them share their best practices to other campuses, perhaps during a sabbatical or even during a shorter visiting experience on a campus. They might teach, they might team teach, they might meet with faculty and spread these ideas. And the reason we thought this was extremely valuable is that there are 5 program components that we've heard everyone here talk about during the course of the last 2 days. The hands-on project and research expert, the interdisciplinary curriculum expert, the entrepreneurship expert, the global dimension expert, and the service learning expert. All of these are interdisciplinary. All of them transcend separate fields, and we'd very much like to see a faculty side to this process. So how do we want to go about working on this? First of all, over 100 engineering deans have already endorsed the NAE Grand Challenge Scholars Program, and we propose that we see if they'd be interested in some faculty participants as well, currently, certainly not on the same scale, but to have 5 or 6 faculty who could really go out and start spreading ideas. So we would request from the NAE support for a working group to create a formal proposal, and also to invite any of you who are interested in such a program to, 1, help us with the proposal, 2, consider applying to become a scholar, or 3, nominate somebody worthy. That's it. Comments, questions?
Yeah, I'll just let you know that, by the way, when the ABET letter came out, I sent a letter to ABET, and I think so did people from a number of the other professional engineering societies, not necessarily weighing in yet on whether the changes were appropriate or not, but the fact that they were so quick that we don't think they gathered sufficient input. And based on, I think, a number of those letters, they in fact did slow it down to seek input. Shortly thereafter, we also got a request at the NAE from the NSF to conduct a study looking at the changes to ABET. So your first issue actually is already being addressed with a study committee that's already being formed.
We're so good.
The notion and the notion of a sort of faculty level fellows is also under consideration. Depends on funding that we can find to pull it all off, but that's also under consideration. You might want to make sure that you give a copy of these charts to Proctor when we get home.
Well, there are a lot of humanities and social sciences faculty who have this as their fundamental expertise, who would love to talk to engineering students. One, it's like teaching honor students all the time. And two, the idea of getting exposed to the technological implications of the things that you've been teaching all along are fundamental. So when I teach Leonardo da Vinci, a hydrologist comes in, a doctor comes in, a botanist comes in. And these people are all very excited. And that excitement is more than I can give. I mean, I love Leonardo, but that excitement is far more than I can give my students alone. And they need to, I think they need to see the people. They need to see how other people communicate differently, because an historian of the I don't know, the wine press might come in and explain it quite differently than you would and give yet another perspective. And I think partly it's that perspective difference that we're trying to get at, as opposed to blending curricula. That it's the people who also matter. But your class sounds really great.
And there's another part to this, is that many institutions, especially large state schools, have distribution requirements. And students often see these as throwaway credits or an easy thing to go take at a community college. And they're not necessarily engaging and being intentional with these decisions, but they're really important aspects of their broader education. And they, part of my idea is being able to get them excited about learning about, Da Vinci's easy because everybody to some degree understands him or his relevance to technology, but the basic philosophers or the Greek philosophers or whatever, literature of whatever variety, and the relevance that it can play. But using some of these credits that students would have to take for other reasons, and making them relevant.
And the other thing about those credits is that students often take those classes, and I do the same thing in my class, right? I put a lot of history in it because I think it's really fascinating, but I don't see students until sophomore, junior year, and so if we can develop partnerships with humanities and social science faculty who are seeing our engineering students their first 1 and 2 semesters, and we can have classes that tie in the student's chosen profession of engineering to these other disciplines, then the students can start thinking about what does it mean to be an engineer, developing an engineering identity before they get into our classes. And so I really think there's a lot of value in those partnerships for a variety of reasons.
Can I just yell? So
Sure.
some of you may not be aware, but the ASCE has a division of liberal education.
Yes, right,
That's totally worth checking out.
in it. Yeah. We just like to see it be more intentional, less scattershot, much more planned, and certainly more contributions from engineering faculty is what we really like to see, because humanities people aren't that bad, really. They kind of want to work with you, and I think we're at a point where there's a great deal of interest and a great deal of goodwill toward this. We done? All right, thank you.